Welcome to this session of Thrythlind's One-Shot Adventures. I am the Game Master, Luke, also known as Thrythlind, and I will be running this session. Over the years, I have collected a large number of different role-playing games, many of which I have never gotten a chance to play, and I am still collecting now. So, I have decided to take up doing these one-shot adventures as a way to try out some of these different systems and see how they work. Some of these systems will be very well known, possibly even popular. A number of them will be obscure and independent offerings. I hope you enjoy all of them equally, and I hope that they all end up performing well. And thank you for joining us. Have a good listen. I'm assuming you guys have a set meeting time arranged. Go ahead and describe where are you going to go from where you just left. Go ahead and tell me.
Touka's heading into town looking for Heika anyway. She has a cunning plan that may or may not involve cross-dressing.
Okay. So you're going to go meet up with Heika again? Laura, what is your plan after meeting with Thebus?
Basically meet back up with the other two, let them know about Phoebus. I think we should go in as soon as possible. It's only a matter of time before someone does. In fact, I think people probably already are.
You pretty much are fairly certain that at least one person went in and is now missing. That man's wife, and his name, he called himself Garen. I didn't work that into the conversation, but either he called himself Garen or you heard one of the locals say, "Shut up, Garen, you're drunk." One of the two.
The townsfolk's wife went in. She hasn't come back.
I think you're right. I think we do need to head in as quickly as possible. Perhaps first thing. It'll be late in the day now, right? We've just arrived in town.
Yes.
Perhaps first thing in the morning? It will do our effectiveness no good to sleep on the ground in the ruins.
Yes, but
and
it may be a good idea to go before the sun rises, before any eyes are open.
Okay, I'm fine with getting an early start of it.
By the way, you will get all your effort back again, AK, since I guess that's the name we're going with. You will get all your effort back again if you rest 8 hours.
Okay.
You can actually take a recovery roll. The first one, let me look it up real quick. Here we go.
It's one turn, like 6 seconds, 10 minutes, an hour, and 8 hours.
Yeah, that's like it. That's it. Yeah. So one action, 10 minutes, 1 hour, and then 10 hours. Because it's a 28-hour day.
Okay. In that case, once I am aware of what hotel we've chosen, I'm going to disappear and get lost in a crowd or something and start making my way over to the place that the cult is operating.
Before I handle that, anybody else doing anything particular?
Discreetly collecting the gear from the mayor?
Okay.
I guess I'll be helping, hoping that the mayor will pay us some in advance, so I have some drinking money.
It'll help you get to sleep.
Well, there's plenty of time for sleeping.
The Hosai encampment is fairly obvious. It's on the edge of town in an older building that was built on top of the ruins at the edges and kind of damaged by the earthquake. They've kind of repaired the damage as much as possible and set themselves up in there as their base of operations.
Wonderful. I'm going to paste the awestruck look of a new recruit upon my face as I wander around amongst them, attaching myself to small groups, looking as though I'm being led somewhere, and then detaching myself to move away before I attract enough attention to be asked questions.
Make sure everybody reminds me of what skills you've been trained in, because that reduces difficulty as well.
Disguise.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you At the basis, it's going to be a level 4 difficulty, but the disguise reduces it to level 3. It is an intellect roll if you want to use effort.
So what do I roll in this system? D20?
1d20. That's the only thing that's ever rolled is 1d20.
Oh, good. Wait, so the actual intellect stat doesn't add to anything, then it's just the number of times I can spend effort.
Right. Or other things, yeah.
Right.
So you kind of get around a little bit, moving on back and forth, but you've definitely picked up some interest. One of the larger, beefier looking cult members is kind of glancing at you and sort of tailing your movements. And as you look, he starts pausing over towards looking at another cultist, tapping him on the shoulder and pointing you out as well.
I see. How much does effort cost?
Effort costs 3.
With edge it costs 1.
Well, your edge is 1, so the edge would cost 2. With the edge would cost 2.
That's the word, yes. Yes, okay. Once I've walked enough around, milled in with the generic commons and so forth, is there any sign of the variety of personal attendant that these charismatic religious leaders tend to attract?
Oh, definitely. There are definitely some rather attractive women that are clustered around what looks to be the most vocal part of the cult.
Excellent. And the most opulent tent is... There is clearly a tent more opulent than the others, yes?
The least damaged portion of the building they've set up in has definitely the most, has guards, and even from here it looks rather ostentatious. You get glimpses within of lots of different Numenera and things. Actually, go ahead and roll me intellect real quick for perception against a difficulty 3.
9.
Barely successful. Well, you're kind of wandering around and people are tailing you. You're picking up information. You're noticing that while they're within their little private enclave, they're somewhat less concerned with doomsday than when they're out in the streets preaching. In fact, there's a lot more discussion along the lines of what you would find from some nanos or individuals, that looking more to exploit or study things than fearing it.
I see. Is there a point somewhere in this little encampment where they're handing out food or any of the other similar acts of charity these sort of things tend to use to attract the public?
No, don't seem to be trying to attract people so much as they are trying to drive them. Since they don't have any of this the charity thing you would normally expect from a cult trying to gather in new members. If you could make another intellect out against the difficulty 4.
I'll spend edge on that.
Or effort, so that's going to be a 2 edge. And you don't get anything else attached to it.
I rolled a 6.
Yep. For the record, we have not rolled anything higher than a 9. I do, however, have an experience point for you.
Oh dear. Do tell.
If you accept the experience point, then the 2 people that are tailing you are going to actually try to expel you from the camp. They'll turn into at least a brief combat, and you're in the middle of good 20 of them.
I will accept that point.
You also get another point to give to one other member of the party.
Quick, roll 1d2. Doc.
Okay then. So, Laura gets a experience point.
Okay.
Now, I think the rules actually say you're supposed to give a reason for why you're giving it to it, but I think random works just as well as choosing one on your own.
My reason was I rolled 10 or less.
Got it. So, as you're looking around and something is kind of nagging at you, but you're not quite getting it, your focus is a little bit distracted when hey, you, who are you? You're not supposed to be here. And it looks like 2 or 3 of these cultists are starting to come up towards you really violently. Other ones are sort of scattering from your area as they start noticing that you're an outsider.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to see what the religion was about. I can go if you would like.
You'd better go right now. We're not here to entertain you heathens. We do not need any false followers.
Putting on my best wounded expression. Of course, I'll very well then. And I begin to slowly and depressively walk away from the camp.
And
Once they're not watching me anymore, I am going to loop around, find somewhere private and start preparing a disguise help.
go ahead and give me a stealth roll. Make it intellect to hold off for when you know for sure that they are not following you.
Okay, I will spend an edge again.
Okay, so you have a disguise kit, which would give you +1, so that's a 10.
Trained in disguise.
You're trained in disguise, which reduces the difficulty. And you spent effort, so you've got the difficulty down to 6, and you got a 9. So you succeeded in creating a disguise to make yourself look like somebody else.
Not just somebody else, one of the attendants of Glorious Leader.
Understood. Okay. And your next move? I'm assuming-
Re-entering the camp from a completely different direction, I'm going to head immediately, with great purpose as though I know exactly what I'm doing, towards the area that is clearly the head honcho's sleeping area. Add a touch of arrogance to my smirk, just to, exert a feeling of dominance over those not graced with such proximity to his noble personage.
Okay. Yep. You do get a lot of dirty looks coming from the collected other members of the cult sitting around as you start walking up towards where his area is, his apartment. There are another 2 women that are up there in the room when you come up there.
I'll smile weakly at them without conversation or any further acknowledgement. I'll move to a side table and begin preparing a small platter of fruits and whatever.
As I remember, you do have that poison that's on you, don't you?
I do.
Okay, let me check something about hit points for NPCs. So you're going to poison the food, I'm guessing?
No.
Okay. What's the purpose of setting up the food platters?
Just to look like I belong.
Oh, okay. You're now very close to the women that are close to him and him. So go ahead and give me another intellect disguise roll. Intellect roll. And this is going to be difficulty 5 to start. You have the disguise kit, so +1. And disguise training, so bring it down to 4.
I will expend effort.
And that's another 2 points of intellect. And you have a lot to spend, though.
I started with 17.
Yep. And let's see what you rolled.
I rolled a 19.
Oh, yeah, that's a minor effect. So there are 4 levels of critical in this game. 2 of them really only affect combat, because at 17 and 18, at 17 you deal an extra point of damage, at 18 you deal 2 extra points of damage. At 19 you have a minor effect, and at 20 you have a major effect, and those can affect even non-combat stuff.
May I suggest a minor effect, or is that up to you?
You can suggest one.
I would like to suggest that so taken in are they and relaxed that they choose to catch a quick nap before their patron returns for the night and they are required to entertain him.
You do notice that a lot of their conversation is equal parts discussing entertaining their patron, and in that pondering what sort of wonders exist within the structure below.
Once they go to sleep, I'm going to select a location not strictly visible from the door and huddle myself up with some blankets or cushions or similar and do my best to appear non-threatening and also sleeping. I will, however, have concealed my spring bow loaded with one of the 3 bolts I have for my poison.
It takes a little bit of time. Go ahead and give me I guess this is another intellect stealth roll. Difficulty 5.
I will effort.
Okay.
Oh, hey, if I have +1 from the disguise kit, then the previous roll was a 20.
Yeah,
Not
but I think
that that's any different.
Yeah. It would be a major
That
effect
is-
if it were natural. I don't think it affects. Let's see if major effect
It-
happen on an altered.
It doesn't
think it has
particularly
to be
matter. I
natural.
wouldn't ask for anything different. I was just noting.
Right. No, it has to be a natural 20 for a major effect. But okay, go ahead.
And I believe I only reduced that to 6, didn't I?
Yep, but you do have an experience point you can re-roll with.
Sure, why not?
And that is a success. You're well hidden when a pompous-looking potentate bundles into the area.
Mm-hmm.
And your action?
Am I able to recognize him from the different speechificating and the rally and such as the leader?
Yes. At least as the guy that the mayor wants dead. Name of Nair.
Glorious. I'm going to raise my spring bow and fire my poison arrow into his exposed back.
So you reduce this is a surprise attack, so you reduce the difficulty of the attack by 1.
And deal +2 damage.
And then you have a level 2 blade poison, which inflicts another 5 points of damage.
Indeed.
Go ahead and go ahead and make the attack. This is a speed attack.
And I will spend 4 effort as well.
Okay. So that's going to reduce it 4 and then 3. So you're at 3. You need a 9 or higher. It started at 5.
19.
It does an additional 3 points of damage. And I'm going to go ahead and say that between the poison, the bow, what's the size of the bow?
It's concealable, so probably not huge.
So that would be probably 2 damage, plus 3, plus 2, plus 5. That's 12. Yeah, you do 12 damage all in one shot. And I'm going to go ahead and say that you managed to kill him so quietly and so completely that nobody heard. There's a thump, and he collapses, and his women are still napping in the next room.
Glorious. I'll finish concealing everything back about my person and slip back out of the camp, looking as though I've just finished servicing my noble patron and am going to go spend some of my hard earnings in the town on some foods.
Okay. Okay.
And I'll spend effort on that as well, because hey, why not?
Okay, go ahead and give me the intellect roll.
16. If I get disguise on that, 17.
Yep. You get well clear of the camp by the time you start hearing the uproar.
Glorious. Once I'm out of sight, I'll change back into my regular wear. Stop back by the mayor's house on the pretense of checking to make sure the others in my party have picked up the supplies we were promised, and pleasantly deliver a calmly smiling, not at all creepily intimidating report of a successful kill.
You're going to go back to the mayor before you meet up with everybody else?
Well, I assume they've already picked up the actual supplies we were promised and
Okay.
have gone back to the hotel wondering where I wandered off to all on my own.
Yep. How do you enter in the mayor's office? Again, just walk in or something?
I think I'll actually stop and have his secretary announce me. I'll stop and tell her that I'm just checking in to make sure that my travelling partners picked up the supplies the mayor promised us for our
Well, I think they already came
for our caravan escort hire.
Right. I think they already came and picked that up, but let me go ahead and check with him. And she goes off and announces you, and he said, and she comes out saying, "Well, he would like to see you again, see you real quick."
Yes, I thought so. There was some talk of something being forgotten. I don't think we got any water purifiers or something. You know, the little And I make a vague gesture, tablet things.
Oh, right. That would be very necessary.
And then wander back into the mayor's office.
You go in, I'm assuming close the door behind you,
Most certainly.
and he looks up at you and says, "So, did you have any other questions?"
Certainly, I fear there were some items amongst our supply ration that were regretfully not included, and I'll share a meaningful look.
I see. Okay, I can see where that would be a problem. Well, I don't particularly have anything on store at the moment. I would have to wait for another supply run to be made, but I can give you. There are merchants in the store. I'm sure that they would accept this a little bit of credentials. And he puts forward a large denomination shen, so that basically it's 50 shens.
Smiling beautifully, I say, thank you very much. I'm sure this will cover the rest of the missing supplies, and we'll definitely be able to head out on your task later on time once morning comes.
And I thank you.
Not at all. You are, after all, merely rendering us the supplies necessary for this escort request.
Right. I can completely see that. You go back to the camp, and how do you, where you, or whatever hotel you're set up in, how do you arrive there?
By the time I get back to the hotel, I will have bags of food from a half-dozen street vendors with something hanging out of my mouth half-eaten, and I will come in excitedly to Laura offering huge bags of everything and excitedly talking about all of the awesome food I found.
Laura!
You really like your food.
Have some, it's great. Look at this chicken.
I have seen chicken before.
You can't even taste the growing vat in this one, look.
I will take it.
So you take some of the chicken.
I would suggest going to bed somehow early today. We have an early morning tomorrow, an early day.
This is true. We should definitely wake up and leave early in the morning. And then I'll drop my voice conspiratorially. After all, we do want to get out there without anyone realizing the mayor's hired us to clear these ruins.
Indeed.
Okay.
Well, that's it then.
And roll me 1d6.
Oh. 5.
You rolled it in Shogun OOC, but that's fine. Okay. So you are able to recover all but 5 of your effort. Spread it however you want.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you for listening to this session of Thrythlin's One-Shot Adventures. I hope you enjoyed listening to us play this game, and that it has encouraged you to try to give some of the more obscure and independent games that are on the market a little bit of a try. Following this message, there will be credits related to the specific company or game that was featured in today's session, as well as any visual media that were used to give a little bit more atmosphere to the published session.